Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. It's me, Mark, today with your Masterclass because Simon has an important golf match. But never fear, if you want to see Simon solving today's Times crossword puzzle, he said he'll do it when he gets in this afternoon. So it will be up by late afternoon on our Patreon page. So join us on Patreon if you want for that. There are other crosswords there. I do an exceptionally hard, deliberately vicious crossword from the Times every month on Patreon as well. That went up a week ago, and there's other crossword material too. Do check it out. We do love our cryptic crosswords. It's the name of the chat, obviously. That was what we were originally doing. Now, talking about origins, we have heard that today's puzzle is by John Henderson, Enigmatist, or that it might be. Anyway, we've heard that. It's great that we get to hear sometimes who these puzzles are by. The Times normally revels in a cloak of anonymity for its setters, but you do get to find out sometimes who they are. So that is a possibility. So I went over and checked the snitch, which I don't always do. Simon's very good at checking that. And it's terrifying. So 5 weeks ago, the day we went to Oxford to do the masterclass, we were absolutely hornswoggled. Simon had to do we did a live masterclass in Oxford in the afternoon at an academic conference, strangely. It was great fun. And thank you to those who were there. But before Simon could go to that, he had to do the daily masterclass video. And it was the hardest Times puzzle for well over 2 years. That was by John Henderson, aka Enigmatist. And John was there, of course, in the audience. Which gave a little extra spice to the day. And I think John was also responsible for the other puzzle, which was already the hardest of the year, which had a snitch rating of 213. Well, today's has a snitch rating of 217 and is therefore presumably the second hardest puzzle of the last 2 years. I mean, I'm not looking forward to it. I've got lumbered with a day when this is going to be tough. Sorry, I was briefly, before I start the puzzle, there'll be a chapter heading to when I start the puzzle. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history with John Henderson, Enigmatist, who I would call a friend. I think I've been mates with him for some time. And this all began, well, it almost began back when I was 18. And there was a note in the paper that the Guardian, which was the paper my parents took, was introducing one of its youngest setters ever, a 17 or 18-year-old called Enigmatist. And my parents and I solved the first couple of puzzles by Enigmatist and thought, this guy's really good. And about the same time, this was about when I was beginning to be able to finish crossword puzzles. And I was also interested in putting them together. I love putting the grids together. I thought, well, if this 18-year-old fella is now setting for The Guardian, maybe I should write into The Guardian. I wrote to the senior constructor called Errol Carrier there. And a few weeks later, I got back a lovely letter thanking me for sending the couple of puzzles that I had, saying that they were very well put together as grids, but maybe that was what excited me because the clues weren't particularly, I didn't seem to have given them much attention. It was put so politely, and it was very true. But it also gave me John Henderson's address and suggested I write to him, which I did. Now, we didn't stay in touch then, but after I competed in the Times Crossword Championship, and I think set the fastest time for a single puzzle one year, I met John in the pub, and he said, well, send me some puzzles. Create some puzzles, send them to me. I'm running a website. And I think it was called enigmatist.com at the time. I'm not sure it still exists. But it ended up that for about 2 years, I sent him a puzzle every week for his website. And it would be a fascinating archive of puzzles that I was creating, because at the start of that, I was a decent solver, but I was only very, very average to poor at writing clues. By the end of it, I had written so many crossword clues and begun to finally understand that the amount of effort you put in to making a clue is what, and the amount of care you lavish on it utterly can change it from being a very ordinary cryptic clue to a good one. And I emerged at the end of those 2 years. I think John stopped the website, or maybe I just stopped contributing and started the Magpie instead. But I had created, I suppose 100 puzzles at least. 15 by 15 broadsheet puzzles, normally with themes, always with themes actually. I loved some of those puzzles, but I really worked on the clues by the end and understood a bit more about cluing. And I think that helped my solving too. Anyway, there we go. I also at that time would occasionally meet John in a pub and in a sort of group. Then he moved to York, and I very rarely see him since then, once or twice a year only, which is sad, but what a guy, what a guy. And I say that before doing the puzzle because I know that by the end of it, I'm going to be cursing his name and spitting chips. Let's see what happens when we take on the Times Cryptic number 29206. If you want to wait for Simon's video, please do that. Join us on Patreon, it'll be up there later. But if you want to compare our two solves, this will be quite an interesting comparison point. We have done it once or twice before, but not deliberately for a while. Anyway, let's open the puzzle. Let's get cracking. Oh, no, that's yesterday's puzzle, which I did. Sorry, spoilers all over. I'm sorry. That's a bad error. It was saying play, so I didn't realise I had somehow gone back in time. Right, today's puzzle, here we go, 29207. Right, let's get cracking. Just want to check you can see that. Yes, you can see the grid and the clues. One across, raise fewer arguments after convincing demonstration. This is quite a disconnected grid with 4 quadrants, and it's really only the central clues and the perimeter clues that join them. So it would be good to get some perimeter answers. 1, raise fewer arguments. What does that mean? After. Lesson, something less, and then after can be on. Object lesson is a convincing demonstration. And if you raise fewer arguments, you object less. I mean, that's a brilliant repurposing of the first 10 letters of that as a phrase that could exist in a language. Yeah, the demonstrators object less. They raise fewer arguments. After means on, and then a convincing demonstration is an object lesson. Well, that's good. That's a nice start. 1 down. Keep returning unwrapped porcelain box. Keep returning unwrapped. Unwrapped often means take out the outside letters. And you could make an anagram probably of the interior letters of porcelain, which is 9 letters. So you'd be left with 7, and there's an O in them. But I don't think there's any instruction to do that. So I'm also thinking about an in-row, which is part of a Japanese traditional costume. And I think that's a porcelain box, but I don't see what is going on there. Keep could be a dungeon. There's one called an oubliette, but that's too long. I don't know what's happening here. And China could be porcelain. Keep. I can't split this up. Box can sometimes be, as in boxing matches, spar or something. I don't know. I'm going to try 2 down. Well done if you've done 1 down just from that clue and maybe even the O. 2 down. American lord is mocking physical exercise drills. Now, had I read that clue without any checking letters, the last thing I would have been thinking about is a J. American can be US, can be the letter A, but not so much in the Times, I think. Lord. Well, Lord can be any expostulation or interjection, sort of wow, gee, man, brother. Jeers. is mocking. Jeers, P-E, jeepers. So an American version of the expostulation. And jeers means is mocking. And physical exercise, which can be abbreviated to PE, that's what the PE abbreviation, is that only British? I don't know, but that's what it stands for. And that is drilling into jeers, and we get jeepers, which is a mincing of Jesus, I believe. Happy Good Friday to you. And sorry if that's too much swearing for you. I hope you can handle it. 3 down. Disc that fastens to cycle, snatched by phony cleaner. I mean, disc that fastens to cycle feels like a definition, but Enigmatist's not going to just give us a definition that specific. Disc that fastens to cycle, snatched by phony. So we definitely split up. We lift and separate out phony cleaner. Cleaner is probably the definition of this clue. I can't think of something that does cleaning or someone that fits this yet. Phony, though, is fake or sham or cod. No, I don't know. I'm going to move on. We'll come back to that. This could happen a lot in this puzzle. 4 down. See promotional material a lot. C is often low, L-O, in clues. So that would work. Yes, promotional material. I was thinking of bump, which has brilliant etymology. But I think it's ads. They are promotional material. You put them together with low and you get loads, a lot. 5 down. Matter, this woman put on report. Right. This is one of those strange words that I have a feeling might be Irish in origin. That could be wrong. But this woman is either she or her. Very often that seems right. Report. A report could be a loud noise. That's one of the possible meanings of report. And in this case, if I put bang after she, I get the unlikely compound of shebang. But that is a word, and it means, it's in the phrase the whole shebang, which is everything that we're concerned with, and therefore it's the matter. So I think that's the answer. And I'm going to try 6 down. The last one, getting one across is great because it gets you lots of first letters, which are very guiding in choosing to think about things for down clues. 6 down. By 8 o'clock, let up cast to replace player. Well, the one thing we can be guaranteed is that by 8 o'clock doesn't have a sense in the real answer of before 8 p.m. or a.m. However, what on earth is this? Let up cast to replace o'clock. Let up cast to replace player. I don't know. 8 in the clue, especially given that O, I'm sort of thinking about octa as a definition. Yes, octuple. And that's got the letters from let up in it. Right, if you take the phrase or the word, I don't know, o'clock, you might notice there's a rugby player in it, a lock. You might if you speak your British English well. And if we cast the phrase let up, i.e. chuck the letters around, and replace that lock with them, we get octuple, which kind of means by 8, multiplied by 8. Wow. That's the sort of clue I couldn't have got except by thinking out loud about it. So thanks for being with me. Okay, I'm going to try the acrosses now, and there'll be more use on the right, but let's start on the left. Most like a picnic meal. Right. The rest of the afternoon free of shackles. So most like makes us think that this is a superlative, and it could end in est. Most like a picnic meal has a meaning, But most like a picnic has a metaphorical meaning of easiest. And that would be a great word for a compiler to try and fit in with the vowels and things. So I'm wondering if the answer is easiest. Meal, therefore the wordplay in this clue would be meal, the rest of the afternoon free of shackles. Yes. Okay, I think I get this. I didn't quite, but I do now. So again, where did we have a word before? Unwrapped we had before that sounded like it was taking off the outsides of a word. Free of shackles can mean that too. The rest of the afternoon is a brilliant phrase, but I think here it doesn't mean the remainder of the afternoon. It means a rest you would take in the afternoon, which could be called a siesta. Now, one possible meal is tea. Breakfast, lunch, tea and dinner were the 4 meals I was taught about in our schedule as a child. So, schedule, I should say. Tea, siesta. Think of those 2 words as representing meal and the rest of the afternoon. And then take out their shackles, the T and the A, and you get left with easiest. That's not the easiest clue. It's not the most like a picnic, but it is solvable. 9 across, a doubter, but not one initially coming clean. Right, there's not many words for somebody who does doubting. You can be a doubting Thomas, but you can also be a skeptic. So look at this string and think about a skeptic. I think the answer is going to be aseptic, which must mean clean in this context. So it's a skeptic, but not one that's initially coming, which I think must mean the letter C, which is the initial letter in coming. So I think the clue is referring to one of the letters. So a skeptic, but not one of the letters that is initially coming. And then we get aseptic. Okay, well, this is going well with the acrosses. Let's try 11 across. Ring HQ about confiscating resistance weapon. So I think weapon is going to be the definition of the answer. Ring can be the letter O. Can be other things, but it's often the letter O. HQ, headquarters. About, so it's turned round, but it's not the letters H and Q. They're useless letters. What else can mean the headquarters of a place? Not sure. Resistance, I think, can be the letter R in physics. So I think we're looking at O. No, O could be at the end, of course. If we're turning HQ about, we might be turning ring HQ about. And if we put O at the end, I can suddenly think of a weapon. I couldn't think of a weapon with O at the beginning that would fit this space. But O at the end suggests torpedo. And I did vaguely think about department for HQ. HQ is a department, perhaps. Anyway, if we turn around O dept, oh, depot for HQ. Okay, back at the depot is the headquarters, not dept, the department. Maybe that was getting confused in my brain. So we turn around O depot and we put R in it and we get torpedo, which is definitely a weapon. Right, 12 across. Imposter, dropping soft soap. Right, an imposter is somebody who pretends to be someone else. Soft soap can be flattery, also known as sawder for sawdust. I don't think that's relevant. However, we might be splitting up soap and soft. The P from piano in a music script can mean soft, so we might be looking at an imposter dropping the letter P to mean something, soap question mark. So it could be an example of a soap. So we might be looking at Coronation Street or EastEnders or Hollyoaks or Emmerdale. It's called just Emmerdale now. But I don't know. I don't know what that's giving us. Imposter. Someone who takes someone's place. Dropping soft, and there is an actual P in the word. I don't know what's happening there. I'm going to go back to the downs, see if we can attempt 1 down and 3 down, and then move on to the perimeters. So 1 down looks a bit like observe now, and to keep, if you keep a festival, you observe it. So I think that is going to be the answer. And now I just have to work out why. Sèvres is a type of, very fancy type of porcelain, French. Yeah, unwrapped, it's very similar to that tea siesta, taking off the outsides. This is Sèvres box, returning and taking off the outsides to give observe. Wow. Okay, 3 down. Cotton, I suppose. I couldn't think of any words that fitted that space. But I can't think of any words that begin with cotton and end with a three-letter word. Any phrases? Cat iron would fit as well. Disc that fastens to side. Oh, cleaner. So that is right. Cotton bud. Cod is phony. Button, that leaves, but it's been cycled. So a disc that fastens, that's very literally true, is a button. And if you cycle that around, you cycle the letters that around, you might get TTONBU. That means you're moving letters from the end to the beginning, and you move 2 of them, and that'll give you cotton bud, which is what we in Britain might call a Q-tip for an American. Okay, let's have a look at 7 down. I mean, E and T are not the most promising letters, but we'll see. It'll deflect water if turned off, so it's said. It'll deflect water if turned off, so it's said. Well, the end of that was so it's said, which feels like a homophone indicator. Looks like wordplay. So the beginning must be the definition. It'll deflect. So this is something that will deflect a heat shield. Water if turned off. So I think the whole word might sound like a phrase that could mean water if turned off. And I don't know what that is. I mean, congrats if you've come up with something for that. Okay, I'm going to try the other one down at the ends of the letters. This wouldn't be so helpful. 10 down. On set of shelves, put something one may have to bear, weight of TV. Right, when I saw it was 5-7, I was already thinking there are quite a few phrases or sort of compound words that begin cross. Something one may have to bear. Well, this is Good Friday. This is literally the day where we celebrate Jesus bearing the cross. So something one may have to bear is a cross. So I think that's definitely what's going in the start of this. So we get a set of shelves underneath, and the whole definition is weight of TV. I'm sure TV means television there, but what? Cross-section is a phrase? Bracket, is that a set of shelves? Cross-bracket? I don't know. I'm absolutely certain this begins with cross because of something one may have to bear. I think the next 7 letters can be a set of shelves. But I don't know. I mean, that's probably very literally in the kind of DIY home maintenance meaning. Bracket. One may have to bear weight of TV. Maybe it's nothing to do with Jesus's cross. Maybe it's not even cross. I mean, is a cross bracket what you call the thing that is going to hold up your TV on the wall? Wow, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to leave cross in with some uncertainty. 12 across looks a lot like shampoo now, and that would fit in with soap. Imposter is sham. Dropping his poo. That's from the dung or excrement meaning. Oh, that's quite funny. So shampoo is a soft version of soap because it's liquid. Oh, that's quite funny. Poo. Didn't expect to see poo clued in my crossword. 13 across. Real Madrid and Barcelona. Not for them, the 1-1. Now, it looks like it's referring to the El Clasico, the Spanish derby between the two best football teams in Spain, who have both, I think, been playing in the quarterfinals of the Champions League this week with varying degrees of success. Real Madrid and Barcelona. Well done to the Arsenal, who John Henderson, the constructor, supports, by the way. Now, Real Madrid and Barcelona, not for them the 1-1. Oh, well, is El Clasico relevant to this somehow? Took me a while to remember that name. Real Madrid, no, it could be Real. Maybe I meant to read that as Real. Madrid and Barcelona are Spanish cities. Not for them, the 1-1. Evens would fit, but I don't really get it at all. They are teams or sides, or Real Madrid and Barcelona could be the definition. That's why I'm thinking of teams and sides, but what else are they? Clubs? Not for them, the 1-1. I don't know what's happening there. So let's try 14 across. Gradually categorizing burns this way. So if you do something gradually, you do it by degrees. So that must be the answer. And of course, burns in a hospital are categorized. You can get first, second and third degree burns. So it's just a kind of, not quite a double definition, more a pun of a clue. 16 across. Light during day charges pointer. The trouble is I've got virtually no letters into the bottom half of this grid. I've got that D, the beginning of this word, I've got E and T in that word, and then this D. So let's hope I can make something of it. Light could be LED. During day charges pointer. The day can be the sun, as in the light. I'm afraid I don't know what's going on with this at all. Light, of course, has a lot of meanings, including not heavy. No. Well done if you know what's going on there. Let's have a look at 15 down, where I've got one more checking letter. I love my checking letters, so it's very hard to think if I can't get this, I'm going to have to try and solve some answers cold, meaning no checking letters from the bottom. 15 down. In doldrums after losing house. Have to come out. In doldrums. To be in the doldrums is to be sort of moping around, a bit sad, a bit depressed. Down. Yeah, okay, down. I'm immediately looking at that W and thinking we could have a window in 16 across. I'll come back to that. But in doldrums could be down. After losing house, which can be HO, have to come out. To down tools is a phrase meaning to go on strike, and come out also has that meaning. So that's probably the answer. Why is tools after losing house have to or have? Down is in doldrums. Down tools. I don't know. I think it is down tools, but I don't understand why at the moment. House obviously may not have the meaning, may not be translated as HO. Have. I think have's doing some work there, but I don't really understand it. Down to holes. No. Anyway, can 16 across be, say, box window or bay window or bow window? Light during, bow wow. Bow window would have bow wow around the letters I and D. During is in, day is D, and that is charging or filling a bow wow, which is pointer question mark, because a pointer is a dog breed, and any dog can be described as a bow wow. Once. I'm not sure it can anymore, but there we go. And a bow window is a light, because a light is a kind of old word for a window. Whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but we get some letters going down. We get a W for 17 across. Conflicts wear out nurses very much. I'm sure that's true. But nurses can be a verb meaning contains, keeps in, holds, tends to. Conflicts can be wars. Warfare, 7-letter word for conflicts. Wear, out, we anagram wear, we send it out, and far means very much, and we nurse that in our anagram of wear, and we get warfare. Very clever. I mean, the wording in these clues, look at that. You read conflicts wear out nurses very much, and you think about rows in a hospital ward. And it's a very convincing definition. That's a phrase that anybody might say. You don't think it's cluing warfare so beautifully. Right, 18 down. Left abandoned, one naturally sticks with Trump's state force. Gosh, well, it's unlikely to be a real reference to goings on in US politics. It's much more likely to be wordplay. Or Trump actually might be just doing duty as an American, so this might be a word from American vernacular. Left abandoned just suggests we drop L off some word. One naturally sticks with Trump's state force. I don't know, Trump's state? Am I meant to know which state Donald's from? That's very unlikely. I mean, I associate him with Florida because of Mar-a-Lago, but I don't know where he was from. Probably New York. Oh, infantry or something. That's slightly too long, but that might be a force. I think force is the definition. Left abandoned. So we drop L off one. But what's naturally there? I don't know. Could that end in NY and be a force? Oh no, inertia. Is that a force? It is, I think. Liner? I don't know. I've got a suspicion about inertia. I'm going to try these acrosses. 21 across with an R third of 7. Suitable support found in Apple's first operating system. Apple's first looks like the letter A, first letter of Apple. Operating system looks like OS, which is a proper abbreviation. I can think of a word that begins with A and ends with OS and fits this space, and it means suitable, and the other bits of it mean a support. Apropos puts a prop into Apple's first letter and OS. Excellent. Right, 24 down. Bearing in mind that 7 down might end in board, so it might begin with a D. Recruit Don's neighbour to guard large amount. Right, Don's neighbour. Don might tell you about an Oxford professor or a mafia honcho or somebody called Don. But there is a river in Scotland called the Don. I think Aberdeen is on it. And I think its neighbour, I think we used to draw the Don and the D up there in Scotland. So I think Don's neighbour might be D, D-E-E. Yes, and if I put that around raft, which can be a large amount, there was a raft of trouble. That's a draftee who is a recruit. And I mean, that's hard. And thank goodness I was thinking about the letter D and why that might begin Don's neighbour. I mean, Don's neighbour. Who's done geography and knows the Don is the neighbour of the D if you're not Scottish? Probably nobody these days. Right. Impetus would be a force. That's better. Oh, POTUS. Is that the reference for Trump? That would be very funny. I don't think it probably is, actually, because we get impetus here. Left abandoned, one naturally sticks with Trump's state. His nation state is US. Limpet. One naturally sticks. A limpet is in nature and sticks to a rock or a ship. And we abandon the L and we get impet. And then we put Trump's state, which is US, and we get impetus. And that's a force. Goodness me. Very fine cut on the ear. Now this is sheer, I think. Sheer with two E's can mean very fine, as in sheer tights or something. That would be hose. And then to shear, cutting sheep, is S-H-E-A-R, but on the ear that would sound just like S-H-E-E-R. Right, now, we thought about a board at 7 down, weatherboard. It'll deflect water, that's the definition. If translates to weather and turned off translates to board. Now, I have one of the very few accents of English where bored, like this board, B-O-A-R-D, and bored, which is fed up with something, aren't actually homophones. So it's extremely rare for me in a Times crossword clue to find a word that's given as a homophone but doesn't work in my accent, because normally I have the accent that works for these, but my particular part of London RP doesn't have bored and bored sounding the same. But I will tolerate it because so many things are better for me than for others. So, Real Madrid and Barcelona, are there 11s? Where a football team is an 11. Not for them, the. So a Spanish word for the is el. So we take that out of 11s and we're left with evens. And 1-1 is how, if a bookmaker was forced to depict evens, the even chance of a horse winning in numbers, they might put 1-1. Wow. Okay, good. Anyway, got it. 20. I was a bit nervous that even with an E at the beginning, I would never understand why that was evens, but I do understand it now. 26 across. I will not work for retiring food transporter. Oh, goodness, I don't know what's going on here. I will not work. Food transporter. I will not work feels like, I don't know, why is that in italics? As though it's a title or something. Is it a motto? I mean, I don't even quite know what the surface meaning is. Okay, I was thinking about down tools for 15 down, which means come out. So let's think about a T starting 23 across. Some juicy gossip gripped, parting garden visitors. Gripped is held. Some juicy gossip, is that tea these days? We haven't had a hidden answer. Simon always tells me to look out for a hidden. Let's try 25 across. Indicate corruption of old Commonwealth realm. I mean, there's a lot of Commonwealth realms, as in the British Commonwealth, which was the remains of the empire, has a lot of states in it. Corruption of old. Of old could mean we need an old word for something. Oh, goodness, I don't know what's going on here, so I'm going to be forced. And it doesn't feel like it begins with an O particularly. Let's have a look at 19 across. Who dispatches present? A giver, but that's very literal. It's not cryptic. Who dispatches? So it's probably two definitions. Present question mark, which is an example of a tense, or an answer in a roll call, or... And who dispatches? A sender or a... Oh, somebody who kills is dispatching. Yes. If you off somebody, that's apparently mafia slang for killing them, or you ice them. But someone who dispatches in the sense of kills is offing people. So they're an offer. And to present is to offer. So cross bracket would work at 10 down. I just don't know the phrase well. Anyway, let's have a look at 19. Oh, it's a 3-word phrase. Busy, having to cancel opening. Say, may I? I don't know what's going on there. Busy could be a police person. A policeman is sometimes called a busy, or a detective. That could be cop, having to cancel opening. That's not it. May I? Where is the definition? Oh, on the go can be busy. Right, that's fabulous. Okay, so here we're cancelling the opening of the word month, which is clued by say may. May, for example, may say is a month. And then I is the word ego. And this reminds me of the book by Sandy Balfour, which focused quite heavily on John Henderson's crosswords and Guardian crosswords in general. And the book was called what was it called? It was a clue for ego. And it's beautifully worded, and I can't even remember it now. That's totally embarrassing. What was it? It's something to do with E and go. I say nothing. That is the clue. Where I is ego, because that's Latin for I, ego, but it's also sometimes used to mean that. And then say is e.g., for example, and nothing is O. And that was written by Enigmatist as well. Anyway, 20 down. Perhaps Leo Warder is enthralled by the Reverend Paisley. Right, I do not know what Leo Warder is. Leewooder? Is it a misprint for Leewooder? Probably not. However, is enthralled. The Reverend Ian Paisley was I'm going to say a politician, preacher and proselytizer in Northern Ireland. But Ian is the key part there. Well, that was his name. So I think we're ending in Ian here because is enthralled by. So I think we're looking at a phrase that could mean is enthralled by. So fans Ian, for Ian. I don't really know, but I suspect we end in IAN. I'm thinking about that being cross bracket. So there's a chance of an I here and an E here in something like sterile. Indicate corruption of... oh my goodness. Okay, I do know what this is now. This is obelise. No, it's not. It's obelise, which is to put a dagger mark beside something in a text. A dagger mark is an obelus from the Latin for dagger. And if you obelise, and you can spell that in English with either an S or a Z, you must indicate something. Maybe you even indicate corruption. Maybe it's the text mark for a proofreader saying something has got corrupted here. I don't know that. But I do know that Belize is the new name, as in the last 50 years, of British Honduras, which, given its name, used to be part of the Empire, or indeed then the Commonwealth. So I think we're looking at O for old and Belize for Commonwealth realm. It's probably still in the Commonwealth. And we get Obelize, which is a heck of a word. Now, so that E was good for cross bracket. So 23 across could end with a C. Some juicy gossip gripped parting garden visitors. It doesn't feel like that ends in C to me. Okay, if T is the juicy gossip, that's going in the middle of the word now. Gatto? Gattos? Parting garden visitors. Oh, I wanted it to give me T for down tools. Could this be titmice? They're birds. A titmouse is a sort of long and variant form of what we would now call a tit, as in a blue tit or a great tit or a crested tit or a coal tit, the bird. Titmouse, therefore, becomes titmice in the plural. TMI, too much information. Is that some juicy gossip? No. Gripped. Parting garden visitors. Gripped, parting. See, I think this could be titmice. 10 down, crossbreeder. Oh my goodness. So I read TV and I thought it would be quite politically incorrect for that not to be television, for it to still be used for transvestite. And I just dismissed it from my brain like an idiot. But a transvestite, which can be abbreviated to TV, is still a thing. And it's a cross-dresser. And a set of shelves is a dresser, because that is an item of furniture which has shelves in it. Something one may have to bear weight of. TV is the whole definition. Oh my goodness. Cross is something one may have to bear the weight of. Very Good Friday word. Anyway, that's cross-dresser. That's brilliant, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. 23 across, as long as it's not offensive. I don't think it is. 23 across is not titmice now, so that was wrong. Oh, tattles, tittles and tittle-tattle is juicy gossip. Tits are the garden visitors. Some juicy gossip is the definition. And gripped is parting the word tits. It's going in the middle of it. Gripped. Some titbits. To bite is to grip. Oh, wow, that's hard. Right. 15 down is definitely down tools now, which means come out in the sense of go on strike. Down is in doldrums, or is there more to it than that? In doldrums. I mean, it's definitely right. Maybe there's a longer phrase for in doldrums. Down in the mouth, down low. After losing house, have two. So we put two into something after losing house. I don't quite get it. Downhools would fit the wordplay if downhools could mean in doldrums, but I don't think it does. That downs, are they doldrums? After losing house, have two. I don't quite get this. I'm really sorry. Do post in the comments what I'm missing about the construction of 15 down. In doldrums, I'm feeling could be down, but it might be a longer phrase. Come out is the definition. If you down tools, you go on strike, that's come out. It could be to come out or come out. After losing house. Down to earth. Now, I don't know. I'm going to move on. That is the answer. I don't quite know why. Oh, Downton Abbey. It's not that. No, I don't think so. I don't get it. 20 down, Frisian would fit. And Leeuwarden looks like a Dutch word with that W business in it. So let's assume there's not a misprint. Is enthralled by father, F-R-E-N. Wow, Frisian. Okay, I'm sorry I don't know who Leeuwarden is, but they were clearly a Frisian, which is from a part of the Netherlands. Maybe even where the Netherlands and Belgium overlap, not 100% sure about that. Now, we've got maybe some sort of spoon in 26 across. A dessert spoon would fit. I will not work for retiring food transporter. Retiring suggests going backwards, and desserts is famously the longest word in English that can reverse to be another word, which is stressed. So read backwards, this would be no op stressed, which does feel like I will not work. A dessert spoon is a food transporter in the sense that it transports food from the bowl to your mouth. No op stressed, no work stressed. Oh, it's stressed because it's in italics. No op means I will not. That's absolutely crazy. It's very funny. No op has been stressed by being put in italics as I will not work, and it's then been retired, sent backwards. Okay, that is the solution to this incredible puzzle. No wonder the snitch rating is very, very high. That is really hard. Thank you to the Times website for doing the snitch rating, which tells us a bit about what an incredible puzzle. Now, Simon would get very annoyed if this was a pangram and I didn't notice, which would often happen. It's got ZJ in it, but I'm not seeing X and Q, so it's just a very tough puzzle. With actually the 12-letter phrases are quite traditional phrases. Weatherboard, dessert spoon, cross-dresser. Maybe not traditional, but it's not quite, I expect Enigmatist to have a complete mix of modern and ancient words in his puzzles. This is more, I suppose you couldn't say jeepers is an old word or shebang, but it's just tough. It's just tough work. Well done if you got through that in a good time. I'd love to know what my time would have been. I think it would have been about 10 to 12 minutes in normal speed solving time. Anyway, I'm going to submit without leaderboard so we can find out, hopefully, that it's correct. I have to put the Z in Obelize, otherwise you're missing Belize and getting it wrong. Okay, there we go. So that was correct. Let's, I think what Simon does now is to go back and try the quick cryptic at speed just to see how he goes. So I'm going to do that. There'll be a bit less talking and a bit more filling in, hopefully, this time. Let's have a go with the quick cryptic and see how we go. Source of funds may determine what this musician plays. Busker, don't know. Exam result, that is passive. Pass, i.e. about Victor. Topical note is redrafted. That's an anagram for Nick. I don't know what it's an anagram of, bother. Source of funds, piper. He who pays the piper calls the tune. Elements initially seen in layers one much admired. It's not sulfur. Is it silicon? Yes, it is. Icon. Right. 2 down. That is police now. Police station is the nick. Right. This is another anagram. Reconvene. We've got 10 across. Incandescent. Yes, it is. Furious. Incandescent. It's a lovely construction. Less difficult. Well, this is easier. Not Easter, despite it being Good Friday. 4 down. Sun playing tunes. Daily events. Sunset was first seen in hidden. There, we get our hidden finally. With no thought for others during argument against team grade. Inconsiderate. Inconsiderate. Call time at school. Don't know. Let's do 4 across. Musician again. Very confused. Soloist. So lost, of course. Doctor welcoming eco. Decor. Term is time at school. Publican, this is hidden. Canisters. I can just see that sitting in publican is tersely. Popular team inside. Serving time. Model objectives come together. Make ends meet. Let's keep doing the acrosses. That's 1 cut twice is on and on with I tucked in. Moderate or moderate anger on road. Ire. I don't know. No. Credible figure having the necessary skill. Able. 10 able. Dispatched, sent, it sounds like. Okay, 14 down. In from France, entreat. And to petition earnestly is entreat. Employ engineer. Over long time. Eng and age. Bird sound that's amusing is a hoot. Most important thing, bring up cake, the nub of the matter, and bun. Moderate anger, average anger on road. There we go. Rage on avenue, that was. And it's completed in 2:53. Oh, what I didn't check was the other solvers of the times, because there won't be many going fast. Oh, goodness me. Well done, Mystigris and Aphis99. Genuine solvers both, who whopped me there. Verlaine probably got interrupted by a phone call to be doing that in 3:10. And let's go back to the main puzzle and just look at the stats. And somebody's left a clue for us there, but who's genuine? Verlaine is genuine. 11:19, a very slow time for him. That's how hard this is. Andy Fisher, 17 minutes 18. Well done, Tom Stubbs at 14:21. That's genuine too. Hazy, 23 minutes. I mean, yeah, that's going to be very interesting as the day goes on. Well done to Verlaine getting that done in 11:19. I said I hoped I would be 10 to 12 minutes. I'm not confident I would have been, especially now. There we go. So thank you for watching an edition of the Masterclass with me. As I say, check out Simon's on Patreon later. See if he does the clues in the same order as I did. It'll be quite interesting. And I will be watching it myself. Thanks for watching and being with us. Bye for now.